As promised, I have pulled out my unrestored Predicta Tandem chassis so I can take some voltage and current readings on it, assuming I can get it to work. When I first got this set, I did some minor repairs and got it to work. I had to replace the thermistor. Down there, the original one was bad. And at the time, I think I said there weren't any repairs, but there have been a few very minor repairs. It looks like one of the rectifier diodes has been replaced, this guy, I think. And a new cap has been installed from the top with pigtails. And curiously, some of these wires look like they've been maybe removed and reattached, like, say, that green wire down there. And a lot of them kind of look, they don't look factory, they look like they may have been removed and replaced. I don't know why the board would have been removed, though, because other than that cap from the top, I don't see any replaced components. Unless it was replaced so long ago, they'd used the very similar looking parts, and I just can't tell the difference. I don't know. At any rate, it's mostly original, and underneath I don't see any evidence of repairs. So, on the two restored ones, the current draw is lower than what they specify in the SAMs, or if you look at the back of the set, it says 180 watts. So I want to see what this draws. Also, I was contemplating replacing the CRT connector because the center post, this high voltage piece, is broken off. But I was looking at it again, and other than that, it's in fine condition, so I think what I'll try to do, I mean, what have I got to lose? I'll try cleaning up the residue of the old glue attempt and see if I can do a better job. Plus, I know it's very, very minor, but this is a blonde set, and I'm going to be using this CRT with it, and it's got a blonde plug, so it'd be nice to have a blonde or white socket to go with it versus this brown one. Anyways, so got everything hooked up. Let's see what we get. It's about 120. Turn this on. Oh, also the cardboard tube that goes over the channel lamp is missing. Weird. Dial this into exactly 117. Well, so far the current draw is about as low as on the other sets. Set still works. Well, that's the same as my restored sets. If the 180 watts specs is right, at 117 volts, that needle should be off the chart, off the scale. 4 amp, yeah, it's 1 1/4 amp. It's just what I get with the other sets. No picture. I speculate it's this flaky socket. Or maybe let's crank the brightness up. So crank the brightness up. Oh, I lost sync. So, it doesn't work great by any means. That's a terrible picture. So anyway, it's nice to have a baseline for this chassis, which I will eventually replace. Restore. I don't think I'll do it right now, though. I don't know if I can take doing 3 tandems in a row. I think I'll take a little break, do a few other sets before I get back to this. But I'll have this video as a testament as to where things stand before I do any work. So we got a buzz in the audio, got a bit of a wavy bright line here, doesn't full width, and the picture definition is pretty bad. Otherwise, though, I'm manipulating the controls now. The sync is pretty solid. I'm also surprised that the vertical is so good. Very common issue with tandem sets, or all Predictas for that matter, is that, well, what the heck, for all vintage TVs, is you get vertical height issues. Either the height is shrunk or the linearity is really messed up. And that happens because you get leaky caps, especially in the vertical output tube cathode bypass. Alright, so I have no explanation as to what's up with all these wattage ratings and current draw being so wildly off. Wattage scale here, it's 135, 140. Definitely not 180. And as Sam says, a current draw of 1.65 amps, which would be off the scale here, and on the 4 amp scale, it would be, oh, well, you can see the 1.5 there, it'd be somewhere between the 1.5 and the 2. So it's not like it's off by a little bit, it's off considerably, like 30% off. I don't know. Be curious if anybody else out there has a Predicta Holiday or a Tandem, and if they have any idea what kind of current it draws. Some of you might be thinking that, hey, maybe my PR57 is off a little bit, maybe it needs to be calibrated. Well, pulled out a 60 watt bulb rated 60 watts at 120 volts. So, let's see, that is right on, well, off a little bit, there is right on 120. Flip over to the amp wattage range, and it is right on 60. So, I think this is working just fine. I've been making slow but steady progress cleaning up the cable with the cut end. I want to clean it before I tackle putting that new end on. I'd planned on using this Gojo hand cleaner with pumice, and it works, but it's a little messier than I'd like because of the pumice. It leaves a lot of grit behind. Tried using just Gojo with no pumice, and that doesn't really work at all. So I'm actually making better progress with Spray 9 or Grease Lightning, just strong multi-purpose cleaners, basically. And I figure once I got it completely cleaned off, I'll shoot it with some Armor All. I think this is vinyl, and this stuff is supposed to work well on vinyl and plastic, so why not? Now, while I've been cleaning this, I've been noticing some nasty divots in the outer jacket. Here's one of them. Cleaned it out. And so that was one of the problems with this cable, is that people would lay it along the floor, and then it would get stepped on, and they'd put it underneath a carpet, and it would get abused as well. So that might have been from a high heel digging into it, or who knows what. But I noticed that along the length, every 10 feet or so, there's a nasty dent in it. Here are a few more. Luckily, it doesn't seem to have done the cable any harm. I'm preparing to rewire this cable plug. So I've got both CRTs up on the workbench now. But before I do, I want to reinstall the plastic cover so I don't accidentally whack this picture tube. But before I do, I want to clean up this base. Well, you may have noticed this doesn't look so hot. Well, originally I thought the Predictas had brass-plated parts, but they are not. I've studied these on a few different sets, and have concluded that what they did was they polished up steel and then coated it with yellow-tinted lacquer. Sort of a poor man's brass plating. It's more obvious here where the coating is actually flaking off. Now, I've seen guys clean these all up, polish them, and have them brass plated, and they look fantastic, but the originals were not brass plated. And that can be pretty expensive if you can even find a place that does metal plating in your area. So I'm just going to leave them for now. Eventually what I may do is get all the rust pits off and polish these up as bright as I can, then recoat them with yellow tinted brass, which is fairly well available. They use it on musical instruments like tubas and trumpets, actually. And I think Mohawk has several options for yellow or amber tinted lacquer. Challenge would be to get all the pits in and get this polished up really good. I would want to get one of those bench, like a bench grinder, but instead of a grinding wheel, you got a big buff pad, and then you can use various polishing compounds. Because in order for that illusion to work, this has got to be super bright and smooth, and all these rust pits would just look pretty lousy, so I'm just going to leave it alone for now. Before I put that back on, though, I want to take a look underneath this base. I'm curious to know what all's inside here, because I've got one of these, a third one in storage that I want to repair. Also noticed that one of the screws has busted through the base, so I'll want to repair that someday and refelt this. So it appears to be masonite or hardboard, cut into a circle, 3 Phillips screws, and then felt over. So that screw somehow busted through. I may want to just cut out a new piece of this, and you want to get good felt on here so it doesn't scratch up whatever you set this down on. It's fairly heavy. I took those screws out easily enough. The base comes off, and here's what you get. So here's where the cable comes in. A little strain relief there. Then it goes up inside a metal tube. It comes out here and gets split apart into all the individual wires. And here's a tube coming back down for the audio jack. So while I got this base off, I'll clean this gunk off before reinstalling it. Now I want to see about this split. I'll try putting some pressure on that and see if it can be closed up. Although technically it's not really a split. This is not made from a single piece of wood. It's made from 3 pieces of wood, and these are the glue seams. This got damp. They might have used hide glue, and the glue gave out. So let's see. Just using my hands here. And yeah, there's for sure can be made a lot better. Down at the very tips here, may be hard to get enough pressure on that. I'm going to deal with this right now because it's just cold and miserable, and I don't want to deal with woodworking right now, but at some point I do want to clean this out, glue it, clamp it, and refinish this base. And while I'm doing that, I'll also refelt the base, but not today. Today I just want to get the backpack on and start working on that cable. Here it is with the cleaned and polished plastic cover reinstalled. I think you'll agree it looks a lot nicer than the one behind it, which has yet to be cleaned. And while working on this, I noticed something, now that I have them side by side. On this one, the Predicta logo is down here. Kind of hard to see. I think it was originally filled in with white paint or something. I'll try to reproduce that somehow. For this one, it's on top, and it says Philco Predicta. Whereas this one, it just says Predicta. Something else I want to take a quick look at. Here's a spare arm I've got. I think I picked this up on eBay at some point, and really I bought these spare arms just for the end caps because they were missing off of this. But what I want to do is dip a Q-tip in a little acetone, and then an inconspicuous area this is normally hidden. I want to test my theory about this being a golden coating. So this is really a tinted coating. It should come off quite easily with the acetone. And if I'm wrong, no, it's not. And either I was wrong, or it takes a lot longer to dissolve than I thought. And here's another good example of how these end up. So this one really isn't all that rusty, but this is worn down to bare steel in areas. Whereas here it's still fairly golden. And it can't be brass. Brass would corrode. and tarnish, and you could polish it. Now, yeah, sure, it could be brass with a lacquer coating, but in some areas the lacquer would wear off, and you would see greenish or brown tarnished brass, and you don't. It just goes right from the brass color to steel, a smooth transition with no sign of any tarnishing anywhere. So, I don't know what this is. Maybe a bit better luck with lacquer thinner. But usually acetone cuts right through lacquer. I went over it for a few minutes with both more acetone and lacquer thinner, and it did appear to remove a thin clear coat, but after that, nothing. No effect whatsoever. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is brass plating, or maybe it's gold. I don't know. If you have any thoughts, please leave a comment.